What's up, guys? I hope everyone had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. I'm just having, nice little long weekend, grilling out, going to the beach or whatever. So in this episode, I'm actually, be going to talk about two different things. I'm actually going to kind of restructure how the show's going to go. Especially in the first part, I'm going to talk about President Trump and his antics, and then talk about then I'll talk about my new segment after that. I'll get to all of it. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the God of Freedom Show, Daily Edition. Alrighty, so it was a really nice Memorial Day weekend. I actually went to the beach over for a few days. So it was really nice. Actually, just had some time to actually feel normal for once, because as we know, these past few months have just been absolutely insane. I mean, seriously, I'm back in February, like early February, like we're really at the beginning of the year. Did any of y'all see this coming? I mean, I sure didn't. I thought this was going to be, I knew this was going to be a crazy year in terms, because it is the election, but I never saw this coming at all. This is just really, really crazy. But it was nice to actually, go to the beach and just really feel normal. And it was a really nice weather there too, so that was good. And I got a little sunburn, but not as bad as I usually do, which is a plus. And yes, I mean, no, actually, the beaches were not really crowded. Unlike what the media would like for y'all to think, the beaches were not crowded at all. I mean, especially most because the area that family went to, is mostly, it's a little more quiet than the more popular areas of Florida. It can draw a crowd, but it really wasn't packed. Honestly, even when we went through Panama City on the way back home. And, Panama City is a hot spot for vacations and all that. There's a lot of people on the beach, but they're all really, I noticed all of them were distance from each other and not, being all shoulder to shoulder, unlike what the media would like to say, you to think. Everybody is actually responsible during this whole thing. So, and that's why the whole lockdown thing, Infinity, it just doesn't make sense whatsoever. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. So like I said, this past couple months just been completely insane. It's really brought out the worst in a lot of people, especially the Democrats and the media. Like, the Democrats and the media have just been absolutely awful during this whole thing. They revealed the true agenda. I mean, I'm not gonna go as far as to say they don't really care about the victims of coronavirus. I'm pretty sure they do, but let's not pretend that they're not using this as an agenda to really push for some sort of fundamental change in this country, especially the more radical members of the Democratic Party and the media. It's pretty obvious. So, and with that in mind, you got the Democrats just looking awful, the media looking awful. This is plus a good time for Republicans, honestly. I mean, I know I really hate to kind of bring that up, but I mean, the election is coming up, so there are certain tactics Republicans need to do in order to really win the election. And right now, I mean, they're doing pretty well. I mean, they're the more reasonable people doing this thing. I mean, they're saying the most reasonable stuff, acting in the most reasonable ways, and in response to the pandemic. And an example of that is how Georgia and Florida are doing. Governor Kemp, remember back in April, late April, he decided to open up the country. Not open the country, sorry, open up the state partially, and we're kind of a slow step-by-step basis. And it was supposed to be a bloodbath after that. Turns out, nothing. Really nothing. I mean, yes, we have seen a spike in cases, but that's because we are testing a lot more. Not that it's just spreading everywhere, honestly. But same thing is happening in Florida. Florida was supposed to be an absolute madhouse because of the spring breakers going to the beach and everything. Didn't happen. And what's really weird is just the left's like really exception with the beach. There's this guy on Twitter. He's gonna actually, I think he's the same guy. If you remember at the beginning of this, he dressed up as the Grim Reaper, like on the beach. We're doing a report on the beach or something like that. Well, he's actually gonna go around on beaches throughout Florida, and is gonna be basically handing out body bags to people who are going on the beach, which is just absolutely strange because there's no evidence that this thing is actually spread on beaches. There's actually no evidence whatsoever. I mean, there's spring breakers. There's only really 2 or 3 reported cases of the coronavirus that have those people have gotten. I mean, if going to the beach is deadly as they said it would be, everybody there would have gotten it. But of course they didn't. It's all very silly. Very, very silly. So again, Republicans are really the most reasonable people right now, and the more likable party at this point. But then you got people like President Trump, and just Mr. President, please, why would you just do this? Like he always does this. Like when Democrats are very low, and then Republicans are high, he always does this. I just don't understand why. So what I'm talking about is, you remember over the weekend, I really didn't pay much attention to it because I was at the beach. I mean, I really wasn't preoccupied with that. But I really noticed it yesterday and today about something about Joe Scarborough. I think he's a report. I forget where he's at. I want to say. Actually, let me look it up real quick so don't get it wrong. Okay, so basically, Joe Scarborough is the guy who hosts the Morning Joe on MSNBC with Mika Brzezinski. He was a former, U.S. congressman and all that. So what happened was that basically, I can't find the context of why this happened. Basically, President Trump decided to push out this weird conspiracy theory about Joe Scarborough, basically saying that he murdered an intern or something like that, years back. But here's the tweets from President Trump right here. And actually, there's 2 of them from Trump right here, and this is from a few days ago or so, I think. And then one is from Donald Trump Jr. But here's what the tweets say: When will they open a cold case on the psycho Scarborough matter Joe Scarborough matter in Florida? Did he get away with murder? Some people think so. Why did he leave Congress so quietly and quickly? Isn't it obvious? What's happening now? A total nut job. Here's another tweet. So, Comcast should open a long overdue Florida cold case against psycho Joe Scarborough. I know him and Crazy Mika well. Use them beautifully in the last election, dump them nicely, and will state on the record that he is nuts. Besides bad ratings. Open up a cold case. Hashtag open up a cold case. And here's what Donald Trump Jr. put. What show is Joe going to go on to discuss Lori prostitutes or something like that? Dude, why? What's the point of this? First off, there's no evidence that Joe Scarborough murdered anyone. There's really no evidence. That's probably why a cold case really never been opened. And I just don't understand where this came from in the first place. And look, I'm not a Joe Scarborough fan. I think he's pretty bad at his job and is a crappy person and all that, and just whatever. But still, like this is so stupid. I just don't understand why he would tweet this out. And this is not the only tweets. He actually tweeted something out today about it. Here's what he said about that. The opening of a cold case against Psycho Joe Scarborough was not a Donald Trump original thought. This has been going on for years, long before I joined the chorus. In 2016, when Joe and his wacky future ex-wife, Mika, would endlessly interview me, I would always be thinking about whether or not Joe could have done such a horrible thing. Maybe or maybe not. But I find Joe to be a total nutjob. I knew him well, far better than most. So many unanswered and obvious questions. But I don't bring them up now. Law enforcement eventually will. Like, for the love of... Like, again, why in the world would you do this? I just don't understand. This is the part that really bothers me about Trump, is that he makes it so hard to really fully support him. Look, my vote is not like diminished from this. I'm still going to vote for him, but there comes a point where it just becomes more and more hard every time he does this to really defend him and put support behind him. Especially, I just don't understand. And I don't know. I mean, if he thinks this is going to win him the election, he's mistaken. Like here's the facts right here. Like people mostly in like suburban America, they really don't like Trump at all. Mostly the independents don't really like Trump because just he's personally not really likable all that much. But and especially against Joe Biden, he stands a greater chance of losing right now. Especially when he does stuff like this, it only hurts his chances. Yes, I guess he thinks it does rev up his base, but that's not going to get you anywhere. It's really not going to get you far at all. So really, I mean, he needs to stop this crap. Please, Mr. President, please stop this crap. And this may sound like I'm like attacking him, like what the media does, the way the media does. I'm really not. I want him to win, and that's the reason why I'm saying this. Please, just stop this mess. There's no need for this. And honestly, what needs to happen is that there needs to be a tweet checker at the White House. I personally would take the job myself. If President Trump wanted to tweet something, he put it on his phone, but always give his phone to the tweet checker. Make sure it's a good tweet. And the thing is, most of his tweets would probably go through, but stuff like this right here won't at all. I don't know, just the president sometimes, I swear, it just I don't know. But again, we'll see what happens in November. I mean, I'm not saying that he's definitely going to lose at this point, but this definitely doesn't help his chances. Alright, so like I said, I'm not going to add a new kind of segment to the show. But basically what the new segment is, just kind of make the video a little longer, is basically my favorite thing and why. It's going to be kind of multiple different things, like movies, TV shows, books, or whatever. So today I'm going to do my favorite food and why. And it's not going to be really detailed, just kind of explain why I kind of really like it. So as far as my favorite food, my favorite type of food overall, it has to be Italian, honestly. Because, I don't know, just Italian is so, I don't know, it's so good in many ways. I can't really describe, I don't know, for one, I really love, garlic, for one. And garlic is usually used in pasta dishes, and also I also love cheese. Cheese is used a lot in Italian dishes. I don't know. I mean, I grew up with eating Italian a lot, and it's kind of just grew to really love it and everything. and everything. So again, I can't really describe exactly why I like. It's my favorite type of food. Mexican is probably a close second, I would say. I mean, come on, Mexican food, especially Mexican restaurants and their queso. Whew. Alright, so I think that's all I have for this episode. So I'm back here tomorrow with whatever else I want to talk about. I'll see y'all then. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the God of Freedom Show. If you enjoyed this episode of the God of Freedom Show, hit that like button and follow the page to get more content. You can also find me on your favorite podcast listening sites like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Thank you for listening or watching.